Looking at this color is clearly Pinot. You might not see it, but it is clearly Pinot. We look at Tesselaarsdal 2021 Pinot Noir from the Emmeloord Ridge wine of origin, which is the highest altitude part of the Emmeloord Three Wars Valley. And Tesselaarsdal is a new producer on the block. She's buying and managing grapes on this high part of the valley. And what do you have in your glass for this Tesselaarsdal Pinot Noir 2021, Kathy?
So the obvious secret you've given away is that the color is definitely transparent and definitely a cherry color red. So no surprises there. Also not surprising when it comes to the variety on the nose. For me, it's quite lightly aromatic. It's got some delicacy to it, but there's an underlying intensity, underlying power. I get a piquant cranberry kind of aroma, which carries through onto the palate, and that piquancy or that tartness carries through onto the palate as well. But then I get a smokiness and a subtle meatiness. Almost quite a sharp smokiness to it. On the palate has got really sweet fruit for me. There's this juxtaposition between the really sweet cherry fruit and then the piquant cranberry fruit that comes through and refreshes the palate. And it's relying on its acidity. This is one of the Pinot Noirs where it's relying on its acidity, and as you know, I don't have to tell a Frenchman, that Pinot Noir is actually more about the acid structure quite often than it is about a tannin structure, whereas if you were to compare it to the Bordeaux varieties, they rely a lot on the tannin structure, and we say it's less about the acidity.
I would correct that, saying that, I'm sorry, but Pinot Noir can have a lot of tannins, you just don't feel it.
Yes, okay, that's a good way of putting it.
The perception of tannins in Pinot Noir, but other cultivars like Grenache, you can have huge extraction, but the wine end up being very silky. If you do that with Cabernet Sauvignon, Petit Verdot, or Malbec,
then it's
you'll end
grippy,
up with
grippy,
something
grippy.
that's going to remove your teeth without you having to smile or open your mouth. So clearly, on that wine, the giveaway, the color, it's very translucent. It's cherry is a very good definition. Cherry juice is a very good definition of the color. You have as well, you have some red berries on the palate. It's for those who have been traveling and those who grew up in Germany or have German friends, been given this Haribo candy called Tagada. It's like, looks like a complete artificial strawberry, but on the palate it gives this delicious sweetness, and which is for me marking on that wine. However, beside that, cranberry is as well this fruit which is red but with underlying acidity, and I have as well flavors of very ripe pomegranate on that wine. It's still young. We look at 2021, Pinot Noir. Yes, when it's young, it's meant to be simple in terms of aromatics, and the aromatics develop in the bottle for the very same reason they don't have antioxidant tannic structure. They develop nicely in the bottle and develop all this range of secondary and tertiary aromatics. I think this one is in its infancy, and it's a ripe wine, so the acidity is here, but the fruit is very ripe. And that's probably the beauty of this higher altitude part of the valley, where you can let the fruit hanging until you have the ripeness intensity you want. There's less rain than the rain of the valley, and it's a bit cooler. So Tesselaarsdal Pinot Noir 2021. It looks pale, doesn't mean it's a weak wine at all. Do not hesitate to keep a bit to see how it's going to evolve, because I wouldn't be surprised that all these sweet fruits and cranberry and pomegranate, and supported by this acidity, And a touch of wood. Not much, but a little
A
touch.
little bit, but it's not. This wine is not made for me, in the style that a lot of the Himmel and Ardor producers are doing. They're using quite a lot of stems, and for me, I don't get any of that stemmy character on it.
No. Elegant
Elegant.
wine. Tesselaarsdal 2021 Pinot Noir.